bold, be brave, be extraordinary, be vulnerable, be real, be curious, be true, be you. Welcome to Trusting Your Gut with world-class energy intuitive Catherine McIntosh, a show designed to awaken you to enjoy the process of evolving, have fun along the way, and learn to listen to those silent in-between moments. You are the expert of your own life, and nobody knows more about the next steps to take in your journey than you. So please, listen to your gut and discover what's waiting for you to explore. Here is your host, Catherine McIntosh.
All right, my magical friends, welcome. We are live again for another show. I'm so excited. I've been doing this now for going on over a year. And it's so interesting. So as the intro was playing, I could not stop yawning, which for those of you who've been following me for a while, you know that yawning is the way that I clear. So, I've been blessed and fortunate to have worked with some of the coolest people all over the world. And, sometimes I will yawn when I'm working with them, whether it's virtually over the phone, on a Zoom, or in person. And, here it goes. So, and my producer's always like, whenever you yawn during the show, I catch myself yawning. So sorry, not sorry. But one of the beauties of a yawn is that it releases trapped trauma out of the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is responsible for our parasympathetic nervous system. And when we regulate our parasympathetic nervous system, so yawns, releasing stuff, we sort of reconnect and energize our immune system health. We get to recalibrate and reconnect our heart health. And we also improve our digestive health. And so the reason why I'm saying that is because today's topic is clearly one that may hit a little too close to home for me today, which is the art of letting go. And as the intro was playing, I was thinking about just my own life and my own story. And look, the stories that we tell ourselves, right? It's how we see the world. And guess what? How we see the world creates our reality. And so I have had this interesting experience in my own life, and I'm being pretty personal and pretty vulnerable in this moment once tears come to my eyes. Is that, in my life, I've had a really magical life. I've also had a lot of trauma. And the trauma, particularly in my adult life, has revolved around relationships. I didn't have the healthiest experience growing up. My household didn't necessarily display what a healthy relationship should look like. And so, doing the best I can with who I was through the course of my adult life, navigating intimate relationships and, a monogamous relationship has always been an interesting thing for me. And, I joke, but it has been my reality. And that doesn't mean it has to be my future, is that people like the idea of dating me, of being involved with me. But here's the reality, and we're going to get into the topic of the art of letting go. But I didn't even realize I'd go here. I just kind of always go with what shows up in the moment. And so the reality for me is that as an intuitive, right? As somebody who is constantly trying to evolve and become the best version of myself I possibly can. This is not to say that I am better than anyone else. This is just to say that I've spent 33, wow, it's 33 years now, 33 years in the world of evolving myself, in getting really curious on how I can be the best version of myself. And in that process, I love love. I love relationships. And I have, always struggled in that department. So whether I was in a people pleasing phase because I really wanted to experience love, so I would do what would work for them, but not yet quite be the fullest expression of myself in the moment. And when I would finally be the fullest expression of myself in relationship, the other person was like, "Wait, I didn't sign up for this. You're totally different." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm always different. I'm always changing." And and so one of the things that I personally have struggled with, and that is sort of a reality on some level, it doesn't mean it has to be my truth in terms of a long-term partnership, but who I am as a being is an energy that illuminates people's unconscious stuck patterns and stuck programs and stuck thoughts and feelings and emotions. And so when if you're around me 24/7, there may be energies that come to the surface. And so I've had a lot of experience of having to let somebody go because we're just not long term going to be the right fit. And there's been some beautiful moments in letting go of relationships. There's also been some really challenging, hard moments in letting go. And it's not right or wrong. It's just currently the reality. And, I've been asking in terms of, okay, hey universe, is there a being, which I know there is, out there that actually can evolve with me, and we don't have to be on the same page, we don't have to like the same things, but this process of letting go is a really interesting topic because looking at it, I realized that most of us in the evolution of our lives might struggle to let go of things. And so letting go is part of the process of living. It's part of our journey. It expands and grows us. It allows us to see things differently. And here's the thing is most of us do not like to let go of things, right? We may have a certain expectation or a fixed idea of how things should look. I know in my business, being in business for myself for going on over 12 years, there have been moments where I'm like, "Oh, I don't want to let go of this product. I don't want to let go of this branding. I don't want to let go of this idea." And yet hanging on to it does not allow the business to grow and evolve. And so there is this fine art of letting go. And look, I don't have the answers. I'm just having a conversation with y'all. So maybe somewhere in this conversation, you can discover what's true for you because every single one of us is different. Every single one of us has had a different life path, a different relationship path, a different business path. We've had different traumas. We've had different experiences with our physical body, our emotional body, our spirit body, and no one can tell you how to do your life. And so you have to learn how to do it, right? I had a client the other day, she's like, "I know that my breakup is the right choice, but man, it's not, it doesn't make it any less painful or any less easy." And so, one of my clients one time, very well-known, respected businessman, extremely successful, and just one of the sweetest, kindest men I've met. And I just adore him. And he said to me one day as we were working together, he came in and he's like, "You scare the absolute crap out of me." And I was like, "Me? I scare you?" He's like, "Catherine, I can't hide from you, and it scares me." Right? He's been used to people, doting on him and, like he's been used to people like fluffing his aura and giving him compliments. And he comes to see me and I'm a straight shooter because my clients don't pay me to fluff their aura or like, like pat them on the back. They come to me for the hard truths because I tend to reveal the blind spots. And sometimes I don't even have to say a word to them. It's just who I am as an energy. I love clarity. I love truth. And in my own life, I also can be blindsided or blind to my own like insecurities or blind spots where I need to reveal I think something is one way, but actually it's a completely different way. And that's true in all areas of life. So we might think we have a thyroid issue, but and if we keep going down the path of trying to fix our thyroid and it's not getting fixed and it's not changing energetically, then it's not a thyroid problem. The thyroid problem is the symptom. What it actually might be is a self-worth problem. And so, for all of you out there, this is your invitation to look at in the quest to become the greatest version of yourself, to have the business you want, the life you want, the family you want, because no one can tell you what success is to you. You have to discover what success is to you. Some of you, success might be, hanging out on a beach 365 days a year, or buying an island, or it might be traveling around the world. Maybe success is building empires and companies. Maybe success is raising a family and being the best parent you can be to your kids and the best spouse you can be to your partner. Maybe success is you just want to wake up happy every day. Maybe success is you're a teacher and you love giving kids hope for their future, right? There's no right or wrong in your own desires. It's a matter of, are you being truthful with who you actually desire to be? So, in that quest of discovering who you actually desire to be, in opening up your own Pandora's box of your real dreams, not the dreams you think you should go for, not the dreams that give you the accolades or make you famous, but it's the dreams that like keep calling your heart, right? Keep wanting you. And look, sometimes in actualizing those dreams and making those dreams come true, it is not easy, right? It is a big climb uphill for a long time without a lot of reward instantaneously. I have a friend who is the CEO of a coaching company. And I saw something that she posted the other day. Someone, at a coffee shop was like, wow, must be nice to be the CEO. And she's like, yeah, it's provided me a lot of things, but being the CEO means being the first to work, being the last to leave, working sometimes, all night, like worrying about your staff, navigating the finances, dealing with, hundreds of staff and hundreds of clients or thousands of clients, like being the CEO of a company is a lot on somebody. And so the truth is, no one but you can discover what's true for you until you start to be really honest with yourself. And in this quest to make your dreams come true, if you have a really big ask for your life, but your current life is not matching that ask energetically, right? If you're like, well, I'll be happy when I have $10 million, but you're waking up every day not happy, there's no way that the $10 million is going to make you happy, right? I deal with this with women and their body image and their body issues and their weight and their self-esteem. They go, oh, I'll be happy when I'm a size 8. I'll be happy when I lose 10 pounds. I'll be happy when I can finally figure out how to, have a relationship with my body where I can wake up and feel good about myself. And so they wait for the happiness, thinking that the happiness is the result. But what I teach and what I'm a firm believer of, and it's something I wrote in my book, Don't Diet, Be Happy, is I truly believe that you have to choose the energy of the thing you want before the thing you want shows up. So when we ask for a big ask, a big dream, a big request, whether it's in business or personally, or your health, or your relationships, or your finances and your wealth, or your adventurous lifestyle, whatever it is, or maybe you want to move somewhere. In that ask, guess what? You're going to have to let go of things that no longer serve you and no longer resonate. So, most of us, when we're sort of, especially people pleasers, if you're a people pleaser, I've done a few episodes on people pleasing. I have an online course on people pleasing where you actually get to interact with me on a weekly basis over Zoom and ask live questions, get personal facilitation. This class is proving to be one of the most powerful classes I've ever facilitated. And it's helping a lot of people completely change the way they actualize and manifest. But the hardest part of it in the process is when you have that big ask, people pleasers have a hard time letting go of businesses, letting go of projects, letting go of things or people that no longer resonate and work. And it doesn't mean if you let go, you're like, I'm done, deleted, cancel culture, blocked. No, that's not what I'm talking about. But letting go in terms of letting it go because it's no longer working as is and it needs to shift. Right. So yesterday I got on a call with someone I work with, and we were going to do like a creation meeting. And she goes, Hey, I need to have this conversation with you before we start the meeting. I was like, Yeah. She goes, I don't know that this is working between us. And I just sat back and I listened and I was like, wow, so cool. I was so grateful for her initiating a conversation on questioning and being willing to look at is this dynamic between the two of us working, because we weren't getting where we wanted to go. We weren't creating what we initially thought we were getting together to create. And so we needed to reevaluate. And as she was talking, I sat back and I just kept breathing and I was like, wow. And if we truly can't resolve this sort of thing that's in front of us, which we were both feeling, right? We were both trying all these different ways to make it work, but for some reason we couldn't quite hit the sweet spot that we were both looking for. And she initiated the conversation. And at the end of the conversation, we were both so relieved. And we both got really clear on what's required to move forward. And so in that process, I had to be willing to let go of her, of our connection, of our co-creative sort of desire together, of the projects and the possibilities that we're trying to institute in the world. I had to be willing to let go of the idea that this person might not be the best fit for me and I might not be the best fit for her. And I was like, I'm willing to let this go. Okay. I don't love the idea of letting it go, but I also know that hanging on to it isn't going to serve either one of us. And so at the end of our conversation, we realized we just needed to have the conversation in order to create the clarity so that the old version of how we were relating to each other could change and transform and allow for a new version. And a lot of people in relationship, especially when the relationship starts to break down, it's like two speeds, especially if you're in constant fight or flight, which means you haven't regulated your nervous system. Next week's episode is going to be a doozy, and you're definitely not going to want to miss it, which is the importance of regulating your nervous system. So when your nervous system isn't regulated, you're usually in fight or flight. So in relationships, stay or go. Right? And businesses, if you're not willing to let go, and I've had this happen to me personally, where I've had a lot of success in a certain project or a certain project or a certain class that I facilitate all over the world, and I wanted to keep it, but it was asking for a shift. And I'm like, no, let's hang on to the current version. Instead of letting the current version be released so that a new version can come through. So back in the day when IBM, because at one point IBM was one of the most successful computer companies on the planet, and they held on to the old version of their success, and along came Apple and blew IBM out of the water. And IBM clung to their old version. They didn't evolve. They didn't sort of elevate the way they were doing business. They didn't let go of the systems that were no longer working. And they didn't allow for a new one to evolve so they could stay in the competitive market. Right? Same thing with Kodak cameras, the Polaroid cameras, right? Well, along came iPhones and something totally different. So a lot of us get afraid to let go. We're afraid we're going to hurt somebody's feelings. We're afraid that we're going to lose money, right? I just was talking to a client yesterday, also happens to be a friend. And she was like, man, girl, I have been asking for all these big energies and big businesses to come in. I'm like, I know you have. We've been working on it. Right. And you keep raising your vibration. She goes, and all of a sudden this week, like 5 of my contracts are wanting to end their contract with me. And I was like, well, you're making space. She's like, I know, but it's so uncomfortable. I was like, I know. I'm in it as well, right? Because I've been in it in different areas of my life. And so we were laughing, and I told her, because she's very clean, she's very particular about her space. She's also very particular about eating really healthy, good food. And I said, imagine being invited to a dinner party at a hoarder's house, right? It wouldn't be fun. I know I would not enjoy going to a hoarder's house to try and have dinner. Like, where are you gonna sit? Where are you gonna cook? Is the kitchen clean? Is the fridge clean? Is the sink clean? Usually, if you've ever seen, there's a TV show in the US that's called Hoarders, and it is quite eye-opening to see that there are people on the planet that literally can barely live in their space. Like, I have a small space in Aspen. It's kind of like New York prices, right? 1,000 square feet for a whole lot of money. And it's myself and my son. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I feel a little cluttered. And I keep like cleaning things out, getting rid of. I just got rid of like 4 bags of clothes and threw away a whole bunch of other stuff. Cause I'm like, even though my space is small and I like a lot of the things I have, a lot of things that I had was when I had, a 2,500 square foot home. So all of these things that we are navigating in our own lives, right? If we don't make space to let go, right? We get afraid. What are we going to lose? But what we often don't look at is, what are we going to gain, right? So when you have a big ask in your life, right? When you have a big ask in your life, right? My producer's going through it. He's cleaning out the closets, making space for a new dream, right? With him and his wife. And so when you are asking for a new dream, you have to be willing to let go and make space. And sometimes in the spirit world, in the energetic realm, it's not up to you what needs to let go. So the other day I was on a walk along the river and was just feeling nostalgic, was feeling grateful, was also needing clarity on a few things. And I was looking for a little rock that I could throw in the river. And I didn't find any little rocks. I just saw these big ones. I was like, nah. And I saw this little piece of driftwood, and I sat on a bench and I held the driftwood in my hand and I closed my eyes. I let the sun like hit my face. And I was like, all right, universe, I've got some big choices to make. And instead of me trying to figure out how to make these choices, can you please help me make it easy? Can you show me the way? Is there anything in my life I need to let go of? And is there anything in my life I need to make space for? So when you ask for this big life, I took the driftwood, I threw it in the river, and 24 hours later, I got some clarity. Right? I got some like aha moments, and I didn't have to figure it out in my head. The universe was very clear. and in its messages, in its signals, in what it was bringing me. And I'm like, okay, thank you for the clarity. And I think that all of us on all levels, business, health, wealth, body, energy, fitness, you know, finances, investing, like we're all just looking for clarity. We're looking for peace of mind. We're looking for that experience of like sincere satisfaction of, I found my sweet spot. In order to find your sweet spot, you have to be willing to let go. And here's the deal. No one can tell you how to do it. It is not black and white. It is your journey because only you know, right? And guess what? Sometimes in the process, we screw it up. More lessons, right? More experiences. I was saying to someone the other day, I said, you know what? If I like cut some of these things that I'm looking out right now, it doesn't feel complete. I feel like there's some more lessons to learn. And if I cut it out right now, the universe is just going to bring the lesson back in a different form. And I didn't want to do that. So I've been sitting in this limbo for quite a long time with several projects that I have going on. And it was like, okay, let's just be in that limbo. And I don't know about you, but personally, it's one of my least favorite places to be, right? Is in limbo, is in the uncertainty. And so sometimes in the uncertainty, we will want to go back to old habits. We want to go back to old forms of doing business or old forms of doing relationship. And if you can sit in that sort of discomfort of the limbo and be patient to pay attention to yourself, right? It will serve you so well. And so, oh my goodness, my friends, we've got a lot more to talk about. I believe we have a live caller that we're going to take. But for right now, we're going to take a break. Don't go anywhere because we got a lot more to discuss, probably, especially in the realm of relationships. So stay tuned. We'll be back after these messages.
Times TV.
Do you trust you? Do you trust your body? What if the key to unlocking the weight, pain, suffering, fear, anxiety, addictions, traumas, and sorrows was already inside of you? Learn to love the skin you are in so you can create the body, business, and life you love. Everyone always says you can't explain what Catherine does, you just have to experience it. From Hollywood actors to New York Times best-selling authors to some of the world's wealthiest and most successful, no two experiences are the same. For private sessions, online courses, live events, and the latest book Jack Canfield calls Game Changer and should be required reading for everyone, go to CatherineMcIntosh.com. CatherineMcIntosh.com.
Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. Om Times Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, Om Times offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an Om Times magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on Om Times TV and broadcasting it across the extensive Om Times radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. Om Times. Open yourself to the possibilities.
I want to eat, eat, eat. apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
All right, my magical friends. So we are back talking about the art of letting go. And you know what? Probably the hardest thing for most people on the planet is to let go of a relationship that's no longer working. And that can be a friendship, that can be maybe your relationship with a family member that feels estranged. That can be especially those ones we call our significant other. And it is probably one of the things in life that creates the most heartbreak and the most heartache for most people. So we've got someone on that is going to ask a question about why it's so difficult to let go of relationships. So hello, my dear.
Hi, Catherine.
Hello.
My call. Hello.
So what is
Yeah,
your specific question?
that's the question. Why it's just so difficult for us people to let go of relationship and just go on? We always look back.
Yeah. Well, here's this might be a different way of answering it, but I believe, and this is just my experience. I've been divorced twice, right? I've had lots
Mm-hmm.
of heartbreaks. I've had lots of letting goes. And in the process, in the letting go, the thing that I grieve the most. So I'm a Scorpio by nature and I am loyal to a fault. I will be loyal to my friends. I will be loyal to my business staff. I'll be loyal to people who are stabbing me in the back over and over again. And I'm still like, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. And I have a really hard time letting go. But in
Yeah.
the ending of certain relationships, what I've looked at and what I've realized is the thing that I have the hardest time letting go of isn't the person, it's the dream that I thought that that person represented,
Mm,
right? So when we're all in a relationship and all of a sudden it stops working, it gets really hard. And that's not to say when it gets hard, give up. Because sometimes,
mm,
like, we all need to go through, right, challenging moments. When I was studying, somatic psychology, one of the most brilliant things is when there's conflict in a relationship and then you repair that conflict, then you can have even deeper levels of intimacy and trust and values. And like it deepens the relationship, right? In whatever
mhm,
business, colleagues, friends, right? So my question to you is, why do you think for you personally it's so difficult for you to let go of relationships?
mm. Because in my case, I feel like I don't grieve for the dream that I have because I didn't have any dreams with this person, but I grieve for the person um that he is for this.
Yeah, and well, and so did you like, so in this particular scenario, how much of you did you have to let go of being in order to stay in the relationship?
Mm, Not much. I always was myself, but you know, sometimes my actions were not right. So I know this. Um,
Yeah.
I did a lot of mistakes.
And I
Yeah.
mean, you're bringing up a really good point because here's the deal. When we lose a relationship or the relationship appears to be over or it has been over, we're like, "Oh, I miss that. I miss the comfort."
Mm-hmm.
But the comfort
Yeah.
isn't necessarily leading to the greatness. And so we long for like what used to be, instead of going, oh my gosh, this relationship is obviously transitioning, right? So it wants to become something different, which means maybe you don't talk, maybe you become friends, maybe you just let each other go. And in that process, you make space for what you actually want. So if if it is hard, but if you start looking at, if you were willing to let this relationship really go, you clear it out of your heart, you clear it out of your body, you clear it out of your second chakra, you clear it out of your back, and you really go, okay, universe, I'm going to let this person go. Is there a an energy of another person that wants to come in that would be a better match for the life you want to create in the future?
Mm. The issue is that somehow I don't want to let it go. I know this.
Right, but
Just
that's
feels
that but
like
the but that's not my question, right? My question to you is, if you were willing to let this go, does it create a space where somebody who matches, like, and here's what you might have to look at is, do you prefer to stay stuck, or would you prefer to create greater?
yeah, I think I prefer the first to stay stuck. I don't
Yeah.
know.
So then you might spend the next 10 years grieving a relationship that you don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And so
True.
right. And so here's my hit, right? Is I think that you have a stuck pattern in your body that may or may not be from this lifetime. I think it's in your groin area and your hips, and even in your lower back, so tailbone and like your first few vertebrae. And this might be an ancestral, like, trauma that maybe some of your
Mm,
ancestors had. It might be something that you sort of got when you were in your mother's womb. It also might have been
mhm,
repeated over and over in your life. And until you get that energy out of your body, you're going to
mm,
stay in, yeah, there you go. There you go. You're going to stay in the old process. And so oftentimes when we're stuck in a loop, right? And this is the thing of letting go, because sometimes we're not in charge in our heads of what
mhm,
letting go needs to look like. We have to let the body, we have to let the universe, right, show us what's actually required. And only right? You have to make an internal choice inside of yourself of, do you deserve a greater life? Do you want a greater life? And are you willing to let go of that which isn't serving you? And when you get to the yes, then the body can start to release these trapped traumas, right? Maybe you'll meet a healer, maybe you'll listen to a radio show and something will change. Maybe go for a walk, and in that walk something shifts in your pelvic floor, right? You never know how it's going to show up, but if you're like, okay, I'm going to make the demand, right, that I'm going to let this go. I'm ready, then the universe starts to support you in letting it go. So I this is just my hit, my intuitive hit, is that you have some trapped
yeah,
trauma around hanging on to old stuff, that grief is the sort of the energy you got stuck in somewhere along the way, particularly when it comes to losing a love, and it's stuck mostly in your pelvic floor, mostly in your hips and your groin and your lower back. And until you give the universe permission to help you heal it, you will continue to repeat the pattern that you feel stuck in. So I don't know if that helps or not,
yeah.
but that's just my
Yeah,
2 cents.
it does because nobody ever opened the mind like this, and I know that sometimes the body is more intelligent than the mind. So
Always,
I don't think
actually.
into this test. Yeah. Oh, yes, indeed.
Yeah. So does that help answer your question?
Yeah, it does because I never imagined where this energy is stuck, and I never knew. Nobody pointed out to me so far.
Yeah, and I don't need to be right in where it is, but that just might be a place where
Yeah.
you wanna start asking, but the biggest thing, and this is for everybody listening, right, is it isn't up to us to figure out the where, it's up to us to make the demand that, "Hey, universe, I'm ready for a greater life. I'm ready to open my heart to love," or, if somebody else is listening and they're, dealing with a business sort of dilemma and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I need to change something in my business." And you go, "Okay, universe, I am willing to let go of whatever I need to let go to make space for what I'm actually asking for." And so if you actually want a love where you feel met and heard and matched, and you want it to last a long time, and maybe it's a lifetime love, maybe it's a 3-year love, maybe it's a decade love, but you are ready for that, then you have to be willing to look in your heart and go, "Okay, I'm ready to let new love in. And that means I'm going to have to let go of the old story, the old grief, and the old love." And a
Mhm.
lot of times, for most people, and they don't realize it, a lot of times that stuff is stuck in ancestral lines. It's stuck from being in your mother's womb. It's stuck from being a kid from the ages of 0 to 3, and you're more nonverbal, pre-verbal. And until we release that energy out of the body and heal that blockage, we'll repeat the
Mhm.
pattern over and over. And I think that's why that's going on for you.
Thank you so much for
You're
inviting me today.
awesome. Well, thank you for calling in. So grateful. And thanks for your question.
Thank you. Speak soon. Bye bye.
Bye. So, my magical friends, this is the thing, is there's no right and there's no wrong here, right? And I say this every time. I am not interested in being right. I'm interested in setting you free in the areas that you desire to be set free from. So if you've been repeating a pattern over and over again, guess what? It's not up to you to figure out how to let it go or what needs to let go or where in your body it needs to let go. But as, my profession and what I do and what I'm best at is I can look at somebody's body and see where these trapped traumas, stuck patterns, and blockages are. And, I can easily just take them out, which happens a lot. But also, I like the person to feel spiritually and emotionally and energetically prepared, because sometimes when we take those energies out, it can create a lot of chaos in the body. And I kind of like the ease of change and transition and awakenings, rather than sometimes what can happen is the abruptness. And so it's not up to you to figure out what needs to be let go of. It is up to you to demand that you want more, and then demand that you're willing to let go of whatever is in the way, and then open yourself up to receiving the ways in which that can happen. Right. So I'll give this example. Years ago, I was in a relationship. It was after my second divorce, and I really, really loved this person a lot, but I knew it wasn't working. And I think somewhere deep down, he also knew it wasn't working. And so I said, "Hey, universe, like, we know this isn't working. We're having a hard time being willing to let each other go. Can you help us make this easy? And can you be clear on when it's time?" So I was feeling this energy and I was like, I have conversations with the universe on a daily basis. I'm one of those wacky people. Probably fine talking to herself in her car. And I was like, hey, universe, is it time for us to break up, for me to initiate? And it was like, no. I'm like, okay, so can you let me know when it's time? And I got it like an energetic response back of like, yeah, you'll know when it's time. And so I kept asking, like a week would go by, 2 weeks would go by. We are still like not really, it wasn't really working. And I was like, can you just make it obvious? And I'm like, I'd ask the universe, I'd say, hey, is it time? And they'd be like, nope, not time. And I think it was like a couple months went by and he called me. We are kind of doing long distance at the moment. And he called me and he said, hey, I have to tell you something. And I was like, sure. He goes, I met somebody. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy for you. Right? I'm so happy for you. And there it was, an easy transition of the relationship. And so this can be true for if you own a business, if you are in charge of hiring and firing, right? If you are dealing with friendships that it's time to change, if you are, just dealing with whatever you're aware of needs to let go. So some of you might need to let go of judgment. Some of you might need to let go of fear. Some of you might need to let go of the story you keep telling yourself, right? And like I started today's podcast or today's show with a very vulnerable story of like I have this story in my world that it is, the idea of me is easy to date. The reality of me is not so easy to date. And you know what? I keep proving that that story is real. So maybe today is the day I say, you know what? It's time to let go of that story because you know what? That story is not making space for the person who would change that story. Right? Do you guys get what I'm saying? And so sometimes we need to let go of patterns. We need to let go of habits. We need to let go of thoughts that we're thinking. And no one can tell you what it is that you need, but you will feel it as a resonance. And so, if you're using your head to try to figure out what to do next, you're not in alignment with your best self. You're not in alignment with your essence. Your head and heart are not on the same plane. Right. So I had this teacher once who passed several years ago, who used to say to me, he did this course on relationships, a really brilliant course, actually. And he said, if you're fighting and you really want to work it out, he goes, what you should do is you should lay down on the bed together, right? So that your heart and your head are on the same plane, right? So if I like went sideways and got my heart and my head on the same plane, I'm more soft and I'm more connected in my heart. But the minute I get upset, I'm like, what'd you say? Right? All of a sudden my head's taken over. And so this can apply if you need to have a heart to heart with yourself, a heart to heart with your business, a heart to heart with your CEO. Like when I do virtual sessions, I'm not sitting up, right? I lay down a lot of times. Sometimes I sit up, but I am trying to get my heart and my head on the same plane so I can be the best vessel for change and transformation as I possibly can. And you can use that as a philosophy and apply it towards any area of your life. You need a hard decision to make and you keep hemming and hawing and you're in your head about it. Freaking lay down. Like get your head and your heart on the same plane and journal or voice memo into your phone and then transcribe it, right? There's so many ways that we can navigate a different world and a different possibility. And if you have a big ask for your life and a big dream and you want a lot in your life, then you have to be willing to let go of things, but you might not be in charge of what gets let go of, who gets let go of, how it looks like, and when it looks. So you might need to let go of, old dreams and make room for new dreams. Maybe you need to let go of the way that you think you're right. Maybe you need to be willing to be wrong, right? Maybe you need to let go of, there's so many different things. And here's the deal, is that we're all freaking trying to do the best that we can all do with what we have, with where we are in the moment. And these are crazy, crazy, fast changing times. Things are coming in fast into our lives right now, and things are leaving fast right now. And if you are on the conscious train and you are working on yourself and you're sort of connected to your intuition and connected to your vibration and wanting a bigger life, things are going to come in and out quickly. And it's up to you to be willing to be a witness, not have to take control, right? Because it's when we cling too tightly to an idea that things start to go wrong. A couple weeks ago, I was clinging tight to an idea and my back went out. And I was like, oh, this is so, maybe it was even just a week ago. I was like, oh, this is so uncomfortable. And then last night I had this really vivid dream where what I was navigating and what caused my back to go out was me kind of like squishing my wings in, right? And I'm like, oh my God, right in my scapula, I got to let those wings out again. It's time to fly. And so, my magical friends, there is no right and no wrong in your journey. There is no problem to solve and nothing to fix, and there is nothing wrong with you. And so, you have a choice. You can either let go of your big dreams and stay where you are. Like I asked, our caller where she wants to be. Does she actually want a new love and to open her heart, or does she like the energy of staying stuck? And so if you like it and you're happy, great, no problem. Nothing to fix, no problem to solve. So you either get to let go of your big dream, or you stay connected to the energy of the dream, not necessarily the what, but the energy of the dream, the joy of it, the vibration of it, the enthusiasm, the excitement, right? Get really clear and connected with that energy, and then be willing to let go of anything that doesn't serve you, sort of making your way towards that dream. And if you're like, no, I don't want to go for the big dream. All right, then let go of the dream and choose happiness now, right? Like if you're in trauma, choose to be happy with the trauma, right? And I know that might sound really off, but the whole point is a lot of times we're living in this standard or this duality of conflict, and we want happiness, but we're choosing sadness, right? And so that conflict and the judgment that it should be different is what causes the pain. Right? Instead of oh, if I just give myself permission to be sad, instead of thinking I should be happy in the moment, it starts to dissipate that polarity and that charge. And I said this in another show, is a little salt on the tongue, let it dissolve, some good sea salt, a good glass of water, great to help you flush out things, both energetically and physically, out of the body that you are ready to let go of. So nobody knows better about your life than you do. This is about trusting your gut and getting clear on what makes you come alive. And if this show resonated with you today, please share it with your friends, post on social media, and I can't wait to see you next time wherever you are in the world. Thanks for joining us.
Catherine is not a medical practitioner nor a licensed therapist. She has strong opinions and will express them, and truly believes that you are your best advocate for any and every area of your life. If you need medical advice, please consult your physician.